All right. Good morning to those of you in the Americas and wherever else you may be. This is Filecoin Core Devs number 42. Today is Thursday, May 5th, 2022. And this week, this is meeting one. It's also the only meeting we're going to be hosting. As just discussed in Slack, we thought it best to have everybody in one call today so that we could have sort of an open conversation about current timeline planning for Network V16 in particular. Oops, I forgot to update the agenda on this slide, but I think today we're going to go through the updates from all of the teams, updates from the Filecoin Foundation as well. And then again, we're really going to focus on talking about the upcoming network, just to make sure everyone's in alignment and so that we can, as a group, begin to answer any questions which may exist. So with that, the Forest team, do you want to jump in with your updates?
David, do you want to? Yeah.
Yes. So we've been working hard on increasing the test coverage for the built-in actors, and we are finished, or almost finished, like 95% finished with 4 of the actors, and we have now started with the minor actor, which is the only one left, I believe. And when that is done, then the testing should be at least as good as it was with the Go implementation. And yeah, that's all I have for the Forest team.
Great. And again, we'll have plenty of time today to talk about status of FVM integration, all the testing that's going on and anything else. But any additional questions for the Forest team right now? All right. Sounds good. Then let's jump over to the Lotus team. Are you sure, Jennifer?
Lotus has released the RC for 1.15.2, which is our feature release as the monthly release, has window post worker, scheduling enhancement, and all those all sorts of things. But then again, we are working on the upcoming network upgrades, including Zen is still working closely with Forest on the test coverage releasing, and the rest of the team is supporting the FVM team to finalize the FVM implementation for the upcoming upgrade. And Ayush has been working on the migration side of the things and working with Lizzo to figure out how we get the new actor bundle published for everyone and make sure the state transition can go well around the upgrades. One quick mentioning is we are going to have a new proof release as well, gonna be included in this mandatory release of Lotus. There's no dev work expected for the rest of the implementation team. We will be sharing the Lotus PR later in the TPM repository, but that's our update so far.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Jennifer and the Lotus team? All right. Stephen, do you want to give the update for Venus?
Okay. Currently, Venus team is working hard to follow up the FVM implementation and also the building actors. To prepare for the upcoming network version upgrading to 16. So we keep a close eye on the FM and building actors implementation and base to integrate incorporate all the changes. Currently after Venus supports the FM M0 and we're following on that, and also currently we support the test on the Caterpillar net for testing, and some others Venus Caster now support the window post and winning post separation as so that you could use different machines to do this, and which can be configured via CLI. Another big thing is that the TinyGo FVM SDK, we're working on that, and the prototype works. We had a demo in the AMA meeting, which is good. Some others are ongoing right now. For example, in Velas Market, we are supporting Boost to support the HTTP API actually. And we're supporting on all-in-one all-in-one Docker version for the common components, so that for developers who could use the all-in-one Docker to deploy the test environment for them to easier installation and testing. Okay, I think that's all. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Stephen. And so for the Fujan team, the updates coming from me this week. As much as I loathe to be the bearer of bad news, I would like to let you all know that as of last week, the foundation has ended its support for the Fujan implementation. So the team was having a hard time keeping pace with the rate of network changes and sort of the demands of providing community support. So we let them know last week. We had been working with them for several months to try and add some additional capacity, but mutually it wasn't something that we were able to make work. So going forward, the ecosystem is only going to be maintaining 3 implementations, obviously Boris, Lotus, and Venus. The repositories, all of the code is going to remain open and accessible, of course, but the plan is for none of those repos to be maintained now or in the future. Any questions? All right.
I have one, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there going to be another team that does maintain like a C++ implementation for the network, or at this moment we are unknown on that?
So at this moment, we're no on that. We're open to it, but it would be very, very difficult. The thinking is for another team to come in and continue that development. So for right now, again, we'll leave the repos open. I've already put in a request for the Filecoin spec to be updated. So it will draw reference to the fact that there are these C++ repos, but that, again, they're not being maintained. If that changes, we will let you know. Or if you feel very strongly that we need a C++ implementation as well, do let me know. No. All right. Any other questions? All right. And so again, so Maxim will not be joining us in the core devs call, of course, going forward, but of course he is still an active part of the Filecoin community. So you are able to reach out to him on Slack. And we do hope to see him weighing into developer topics going forward also. So be on the lookout. So then jumping into updates from the Filecoin Foundation. On a lighter note, I think congratulations to Stephen, who authored the beneficiary address FIP 29. This was accepted, which is great and really exciting. So hopefully we can get this scheduled for implementation in one of the upcoming network upgrades. And just yesterday, FIP 32 was finalized by the FDM team for the most part, to the point at which we're able to enter all 3 of those into last call. I am currently technically supposed to be at a conference, so I'm a little behind schedule, but hoping to get all of the community communications out about the last call status going this afternoon so that we can officially start that period. And of course, we'll have a conversation about the V16 timeline, but we expect there should be no real slowdowns with getting those approved and ready to go by the time we're ready for the calibration at sync. Other than that, the same number of FIP drafts exist. FIP editors should continue to edit and review what's there. And for the index or advertisement protocol, which was presented 2 weeks ago, we're trying to figure out a way to introduce potentially a new FIP type for standards, potentially a Filecoin request for comment, but we're not quite sure what the structure of this will look like yet. So be on the lookout for an upcoming conversation topic so we can discuss this in greater detail. Any questions on FIPs? All right. And Parth, do you have any updates on security?
Not much particular, working on some bugs and also like working on the Hall of Fame page, which I talked with Jennifer as well. Like I started building the Hall of Fame page and it should be like done by this week or end of next week. And I'm ready to make a pull request as well once it's done. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah,
Cool. Is the Hall of Fame page for the bounty board?
sorry.
Is the Hall of Fame, is this for the bounty board, the bug bounties?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like to add the researchers to a Hall of Fame page, so they also feel motivated to report more in the future, as well as they have a proof of their work, because you know, like they right now don't have a proof that they reported some vulnerabilities to Filecoin Foundation. But if they have such a page, then they have a proof that they reported, and we have their name on a Hall of Fame page. So yeah.
Cool. Great. All right. Thank you. Any questions for Park? All right. Then let's have a sort of an open conversation then and switch gears a little bit towards the network V16 timeline and schedule. I was hoping someone would want to kick off sort of your current thinking and needs as it relates to upcoming work, or if we want to talk specifically about the timeline.
Okay, maybe I can kick us off a little bit. So as we all know, like we have been updating the timeline according to the development progress and like discoveries a couple of times now. So I think right now the VM team is very confident that like we are super close to say it's like consensus feature freeze for the FVM like the M1 implementation at this point. This is like the decision has been made on top of the fact we have been going through a couple rounds of internal audit. We have external audit is also looking into the code very actively in the past couple weeks. So I do have a change I want to propose right now before we get into the timeline. Is in the FIP 31, we have proposed a 6 phases of testing flow that is very extensive. However, we want to simplify that a little bit. The reason being, we actually have been testing more actively than we saw in the past like months, and we think we are confident enough to say once the code freeze is ready for FVM and currently targeted at sometime the end of next week, I believe, and then we can deploy that to Butterfly directly instead of doing 3 weeks of testing in a private developer, a core dev test that we can test with the community. All implementation can join that network. So that being said, we are looking at Butterfly Net sometime around like the 3rd week of May, and we can do all the testing there for like 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, we probably will be wrapping up the built-in actor test coverage rally as well. And we can use those 2 weeks to fix any bug that is discovered by the test that Forest team and Zen has been writing. And then after 2 weeks, depends on how many discovery we have. If everything is good, we can deploy everything to calibration by the end of like hopefully May, early June, living there for like 3 weeks before like mainnet launch. So we are still looking at the mainnet upgrade around sometimes like June, around like early mid-June accordingly. So I don't know, that's the current like thinking the Lotus and FVM team has, and we're happy to hear what everyone else is thinking or have any concerns regarding that. Oh, and also like I want to be aligned on one thing is for this upgrade. Thanks again for the Forest team for like supporting the whole test coverage like effort. But I think only Venus and Lotus will be joining all the network upgrades for NV16 as far as my understanding goes. But yeah.
Yeah, something about the timeline. So looks like the Butterfly we're planning for like in May, right? And I think if everything goes well with Butterfly, we will transition to CalibNet in a couple of weeks after that, right? How many weeks you said? I forgot on that one, Jennifer.
For butterfly, again, depends on like how many discovery we have. I would say butterfly is 1 to 2 weeks. And then
Okay.
if you feel comfortable earlier, we can upgrade calibration a little bit earlier as well. Because
Right.
the thing is like calibration net does have more interesting states of the network than butterfly. So the sooner we do calibration, the better we can test these things in a mainnet-like network.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess like when we migrate to Butterfly, we can like keep the discovery discussion open, and and based on that, we will know the timeline for CalibNet, and then again, based on the open discoveries, we'll know for the mainnet. So I guess at this point, we don't have very strict timelines, but based on the discoveries, we can go there. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So Jennifer, as you mentioned, it looks like the timeline is almost as you mentioned in last meeting, right? I think in last meeting we may target to June the 10th for the mainline upgrade.
I think last time we said sometime June, we didn't say a date because like development was unknown. I think the 10th was from the very first proposal of like May the 10th. I'm not sure. Maybe I forgot something.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, and I got something in my mind. Okay. Yeah. So it's almost the same. I mean, just want to say that. Okay. Yeah, if there is no chance, that is very good. It's no problem for Veda's team to catch up, is because we are really keep a very close eye on the FM and the building actors development, and we're doing try the best to keep the pace on that. It's good.
I actually have a question for you, Jennifer. The testing plan change that you want to incorporate in FIP31, I think I missed what you said about the certainty of this new plan. Has this already been, it hasn't been added into FIP31, correct?
Not yet. We're gonna submit, we're gonna submit a PR no later than next Monday to reflect a new simplified test plan.
Okay, that sounds good. Given the current timeline we're discussing, also it makes sense to then wait for that last call period until next week. So we'll do that. Yep. Any other questions from anyone? Ayush, did you have a couple of other items you wanted to talk about in regards to V16?
Yes, I did. Just our usual as we approach the network upgrade. Obviously, this one is very FVM focused, but a couple of other smaller, essentially bug fixes, protocol level bug fixes that I'd like to include. Really, just one, which is there's a Lotus implemented a bug a long while ago in which DRAM ground is used. We've talked about this in these calls before because we had actually scheduled the fix for the chocolate upgrade, but then descoped it just because we didn't have as much confidence as we would have liked in the implementation. We wanted to test it a bit more thoroughly, and then just forgot about it for the Snapdeals upgrade. Honestly, I'd like to get that into the M1 upgrade just to get it out of the way and. Right now we're just using the wrong DRAM beacon in Filecoin, just an off by one, and it'd be good to clean that up. If I can link the Lotus PR in here, but basically the change is just to catch up by one for network after the network upgrade. Yeah, that and as Jennifer mentioned, the proofs team wants to put out a new proofs release. I think they're going to be changing probably the aggregation proof type. So we'll have a version 1.1 of Snarkback. I can get them to share more details when they have it. Those are the two things I'd like to add to the M1 upgrade.
And the other one is the one we all know already, the proof upgrade updates. Bug fixes, like the batch message fix, has been landed in both Go spec actor and Beauty actor. So these are the three non-trivial changes we're introducing in this upgrade.
We'll add them to the TPM doc instead of keeping it in our heads for now. I can do that right now.
That sounds great. Any questions for Ayush? Going once. All right. Then it sounds like everyone is mostly on the same page. Everything is continuing as sort of previously discussed. Any additional questions, items, or anything anyone would like to bring up? All right. Then a relatively quick and easy meeting this week. As always, feel free to connect async. I think we're trying to use the Phil Implementers channel on Slack to coordinate core devs topics. So feel free to post there, ask questions, or just continue asking them directly in other channels as well. Otherwise, we will see everyone in 2 weeks and looking forward to it. Bye.
See you guys.